Okay guys, so now as we take a look at how these birds are eating, but most of them they are they are sleeping because they've eaten like way too much. So most of the time what we need in our poultry is to have birds with good appetite. And it's depressing when your birds are not having appetite, especially when you put feed. Then you see there's no change in the feed, whereby when you put feed maybe in a next like in 4 hours you find like your feed is not moving. That's a bad thing in the poultry. So mostly we need birds with good appetite, and most of the time uh, people don't know how they can give their birds appetite. So mostly when your birds have lost appetite, most of the time it's either maybe they are sick, or maybe they sometimes you find like the water is warm. So which means if they can't drink water, even the appetite for eating can't be there, because they might choke when they are eating. So mostly, if they are not sick, then the water is not okay. You need to change the water. You put the fresh water in. When they drink that fresh water, you find them like they've started now eating again. That is if they don't have any problem. But most of the time, sometimes, especially during hot season, birds usually lose appetite because of the hotness. So the way you can control your birds to regain their appetite, you need to give them uh, water with vitamins. Stress pack, there's other these other vitamins, but most to me what I use is stress pack. When you just give them, you'll find like within 2 hours, 3 hours, your birds are jacked up and they're back into having a good appetite. So you can use stress pack. You give your birds because it's hot and they are stressing. So when you give them stress pack, that stress is taken away. They're able now to regain their appetite. They'll start eating again in a normal way. So of course what we need is a good appetite with birds in a poultry, for them to gain weight, for them to grow, especially in this business of broiler birds. Broilers, they need to eat a lot so that they can have a good weight. And if they don't have a good weight, that means you even selling them it's not easy. you know Broiler chickens, as a broiler farmer, it's all about the weight. It's all about impressing the customer. When you impress a customer with the weight of your chickens, how big they are, you are quick to sell. But if your birds are they were losing appetite, they were not eating way too much, and you are not managing them well to control their appetite, you lose the customer. And we all have we all have one boss in this world of business, and it's a customer. And when you lose that customer, you've lost the business. So guys, for you to regain your chickens into regaining their appetite, give them water with stress pack, or sometimes maybe, especially during warm season, you give them just frequently fresh water. You change every 3 hours, every 2 hours. It depends on how good you are into changing. But mostly for me, I change mostly in 3 hours, because I know water gets warm. So 3 hours I change the water. If I pass a lot of time, that means I'll change maybe within 4 hours. That depends on how warm it is. So mostly we need, chickens lose appetite. The water is warm, which is not good. And sometimes you should let your birds eat all the feed in the feeders, because sometimes you find like you put on top of the feed which was given the other day and the other day, so you let the chickens finish their all feed in the feeders, so that you put the fresh one. That is something that also can give appetite to your chickens, so that they will be, when the whole feed is finished, especially the chickens like that sound they make when they are eating. There's that sound from the feeders, so they like that sound, and they gain more appetite from that. And mostly when the feed stay too long, it's not good. So when you put fresh feed, most of the time you find like your birds are eating way too much. So at least do one of these things that I've mentioned. then you see your birds are gaining their appetite. And you know, when they get appetite, the growth is rapid. As you see my beds, they are rapidly growing, because each and every time, as you can see there, there's just a few feed so that they can finish off feed, then I put the fresh one. Okay,